Shue, Wache, Tanse, Bonjour. Welcome to Indigenous Voices. Happy National Aboriginal Day or Indigenous Day. Have you ever been to the ROM before? Let us know. We love to check in because we have more than 22,500 students tuned in. And all I have is this green little dot in front of me. But I know you're all out there. Makes me wonder how much off 22,500 eyes are staring back at me times two. That's a lot of eyes staring back at us here at the Royal Ontario Museum. Look at that. 90% of you have been here before and 10% of you are coming back. Well, we're getting ready to celebrate National Indigenous Day with some grass dance lesson. And I'm really curious before we jump in, for those that could hear the music, I'm wondering how many people like that song that we had Welcome You. Check out this poll here. While we're doing that, we're also going to we're going to find out if the music that we had in the waiting room, Asani, got you moving at all. Yes, a little, or not at all. Not everybody's awake this time of day, but there are 22,500 of you out there. Thanks for tuning in and celebrating National Indigenous Day with us. Before we jump too deep in, we're actually going to go to the digital control room and introduce Sarah Elliott in a flash, because Sarah, help us understand how teachers can navigate all the numbers that some people might have to go to the YouTube live stream and what's happening with the sign language today. Help us understand what people can expect.
Hi, everybody. So I will be controlling the broadcast from my end, and I have a monitor that is viewing as an audience. So I can see all three speakers right now on my audience monitor. If you cannot see that, we have found in the past that there are some versions of Zoom that just don't for whatever reason. There may be an option to change your view up in the top right-hand corner. If there is not, then you can check out the YouTube stream. The YouTube stream is showing all of the videos, and we will put the link to that in the chat in just a second.
Excellent. And we're very fortunate that we have sign language interpreters today. So we're going to have a really lovely opportunity to maybe freshen up in our sign language. So we're just curious if people have had a chance to answer our poll. Did you dance a little bit? I love our waiting room music. Look at that. 82% of you did dance, and you're probably ready here to do a little more dancing. 50% of you a little, and 3% didn't dance at all. Not everybody's a dancer, and that's okay. We're so excited you're able to join us here on Indigenous Voices. This is our final finale for the second season, and what an excellent way to end the season with a grass dance lesson. We're going to introduce John shortly, but what I want to do is remind you that Indigenous Voices, we like to share a sign of the day, because I myself actually have deafness and I know sign language and share that with my kids. So today I learned a new sign language because, like everybody, we are lifelong learners. And so the sign of the day is grass dance dancer. Grass dancer, because we're going to learn that the grass dancer plays a really important role to make it possible for people to dance at the actual events we all come to know as powwows. So we're going to learn a little more about that today. But it's also important to know that at Indigenous Voices, we're not just the entertainment. So you're also going to learn about history, and we're going to ask you to join us in the dancing. So hopefully, even if you're not able to jump up and dance with us, look at that. We still have some people who are able to join us and joined us in the dancing. Dancing isn't for everybody, but you can keep the beat, you know, when you've got access to the music. And we're so excited you're able to join us. Just keep in mind, the ROM itself is only 107 years old, and Canada's having a birthday coming up soon. And Canada is only 154 this year. I was doing the math, and Canada is only 102 years older than me, because I will be 52 this year. So Canada is a very young country. And here's a piece of art that my good friend Luann Neal from BC, from Alert Bay, gave me permission to share. And it's a symbol of our Canadian flag with the words "time immemorial." We have been here since the beginning of time. time immemorial, I'm learning new signs all the time. But it's a reminder that Indigenous people here have been here since the beginning of time. So that's why we do a land acknowledgement. I come from 3,500 kilometers away on Vancouver Island, where the Pacific Ocean meets the fresh water. And the ROM, as I said before, is only 107 years old. We're so excited you're able to join us on Indigenous Voices. And we want to thank the Association for Native Development in the Performing and Visual Arts, because AMPAVA makes it possible for us with this community partnership to have guests on our webinar, like John Hupfield coming up shortly, and that the guests we're able to share with you original voices. So that's what you'll hear in Indigenous Voices, is that we're going to do a little bit of a dance class today. And keep in mind that we're not just going to entertain you. We are going to encourage you to jump up and dance with us. I'm going to jump up and dance as well. We're going to have a little conversation. And that's one of the things that happens in Indigenous Voices, is that we take time to have a conversation with our guests. And for some teachers, it might not seem like a lot of structure, but it's really an exchange of experiences and true Indigenous voices coming through. And teachers are really hungry for Indigenous content. So be patient with us. It might not look like a traditional classroom, but we also want you to have fun in your learning, because at Indigenous Voices, I'm a fan of helping our viewers from across Ontario to see the world through a different lens from time to time. So I'm going to take a moment to share my screen with you, because when I share my screen, it'll give me a chance to set up our dance class today. Because one of the things that we wanted to get ready for when we're talking about grass dance at Indigenous Voices is that we want to understand that in Canada, there's something that's known as systemic racism. And we did another broadcast where there's also sexism, but here there's also just lots of challenges in the relationship between Indigenous peoples and the state. So one of the things that's really challenged us as Indigenous peoples, Canada, remember, is only 154 years old, was the Indian Act that came after Canada was formed. But the Indian Act had a really big impact on Indigenous lives. And I know there's only grade 1s and 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6. And you might have never heard of the Indian Act before, but when you hear about Indigenous peoples in Canada, because we don't belong to Canada, we're not Canada's Indigenous people, we're Indigenous peoples. We live in Canada from coast to coast to coast. It's important that we remember that we have been here since the beginning of time, and laws like the Indian Act really gave us a challenge to express ourselves and our identity. And something important John and I will talk a little more about is the potlatch ban, where that outlawed our art, our language, our dance, our ceremony, our feasts, ways that we exchanged knowledge got completely shut down. And residential schools, as you're learning about, came along, and where all Indigenous people were forced to speak English or French. If you're in Quebec, we were forced to give up our identity and our culture. And so history has sadly a superpower to take away our humanity. And we have to remember that Indigenous people are human, and so are our children. I'm so excited today that we are very lucky to actually have John Hupfield, who is an Anishinaabe grass dancer from the Wasauksing First Nation, to join us. And John is many things. He's a father, an uncle, a caregiver. He has 5 daughters. He lives at a household of women, and he has taken time to join us here today. Welcome, John.
Ani, Miigwech, Jeanette, Wache, Tanze, Wasiaba and Indigenous cause, Wabshan Shido Dem, meanwhile Wasaksing Donjiba, Toronto and Donji, Anishinaabe Nina and Dao. So it's a real pleasure to be here. Good morning. Nice to see so many faces today. And we're gonna have a great time together. Miigwech.
We have more than 44,000 eyes looking back at us. Could you imagine all those eyes looking at us today? 22,500 plus students tuned in. So We are so happy you're able to take time on one of the busiest days for many Indigenous peoples in Canada, National Indigenous Day. We celebrate being Indigenous every day. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't wear my regalia and my beadwork everywhere I go, but today especially, you know, you want to feel good about your spirit and yourself. So I'm really proud to be Anishinaabe and to share some of my dance teachings with you today.
Excellent. We're going to get a chance to watch for questions, but you said something right out the gate. I would love to talk a little more about. You didn't say costume. You're not wearing a costume. You're wearing your regalia. Can we talk a little more about that?
Yeah, so you'll see with all the colorful outfit that I have, my beadwork, my grass outfit here, that this is part of my regalia. This is part of who I am as a Indigenous person. So it's not a costume. Like a costume is something we wear to pretend to be something else, like at Halloween, for example. But this outfit is really about who I am. It's my regalia, and I feel that really good when I put it on. And I want to share that spirit of who I am outwards. So that's why we use that word regalia. It's a more respectful way to talk about our outfits and when we dance.
Excellent. I know today you and I have agreed we're going to talk a little, dance a little, talk a little, dance a little, because we know that talking can kind of get boring after a while. One of the things we talked about was to get students ready for dancing, is we talked about listening for our heartbeat. So
Mm-hmm.
the heartbeat symbol behind us as a way to get started for people to, maybe the students, to stop thinking about what's around them. We're going to have some music to help us as well, but maybe even for some of our deaf listeners, because we have sign language today, that heartbeat is there for everybody, isn't it, John?
Yeah, we all carry that beat and that heartbeat inside. A lot of people think that that they're not a good dancer, and that's just not true. We all have that rhythm. We all have that ability to connect to spirit. And from when we're in our mother's womb, you know, we all heard that heartbeat through to today when we're outside and living. And in our culture, in our powwows, you hear that heartbeat through the drum. So that's a representation of that teaching. So we all have that ability to dance.
Super excited. Is there anything you want us to do to get ready to warm up? I know I went out of my way today to actually make space around me so that I could hop up and dance with you.
Yeah, so I'm going to share my dance style and I'll talk a bit through that. And so there will be times when I'll invite you and I'll show you some steps on how to participate at a powwow, how to get up when that drum comes on, and how to move your feet and your body in a good way, and to be respectful in that space, because you'd be a visitor coming in to a powwow.
Excellent. So we're going to learn by watching first, and then you're going to give us a little more ideas on how we could learn from you.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'm ready. If you want, I can share my dance style, talk a bit about my outfit, talk a bit about what grass dance is. Does that sound good?
That sounds great, because sometimes in learning, it's the best thing to do is just do. It's hard to talk about it and you just have to dance. So we've got music waiting in the background. We had a really good working relationship with Nathan Roy, thanks to your family's introduction. And we have permission to share music to join us today in spirit. So thanks to Nathan Roy from Wakwimikon.
Yes, Jimmy Gwetch. I'm just gonna set up my camera so you can see me. I'm on the road today and I'm really happy that I was able to make it work to be here with everybody. So you let me know if this looks okay back here.
Perfect.
So you might be watching, you'll see my regalia in full effect. So again, I'm a grass dancer, and what that means is my responsibility at powwow, but also just in our community, is to make spaces safe for our people. So when I'm dancing, I'm really thinking about my grandma, those little kids who might be coming out into that space. And though when we go out and dance at a powwow, our invitation is to prepare that space in a good way. So we do that through a song and through dance. And when I'm dancing, you'll notice that on my outfit, I have these long fringes on the sides here, right? So these represent that grass. So back in the day, when we would go and move our community, we'd set up and it was sometimes the young men, young women. It was called a grass dance society, and we'd go out there and we'd dance in a good way, put down our tobacco, and prepare that space so that people could come and be safe and live a good life in our new community space. And we do that today still with powwow. So sometimes when I don't know if anyone's seen that tall grass growing, you don't see it as much in Ontario, but prairie grass can get very tall, and that's where this dance style comes from. So that's what you see represented on my outfit with this fringe here. It's represented in black, that color black on my outfit today, but that's standing in for that grass. So I'm trying to emulate, copy the movement of that grass when I dance.
Perfect. Lovely.
So I'm ready. I have my roach, my eagle feathers on. So if you want to cue the music, I'll share my style.
Awesome. We'll give you a chance to have a drink of water because every dancer needs to stay hydrated. So
thanks.
I'm giving you a chance to catch your breath. And you're right, John, your beautiful regalia does move like the grass. I think that you described that quite beautifully. And you described when we were getting ready for today, the top of that piece there, I understand that has to do with a porcupine.
That's right. So part of that warrior society is, or that grass dance society is, when you come into being a member of it, you would be gifted this porcupine roach. So on here, they call it guard hair. So you'll see this bouncing, beautiful hair here, and it's actually from a porcupine. It guards it. And I know you probably are thinking of the quills, but this is what actually protects that porcupine. It lets people know that I'm here, I'm doing serious work, you know? And yeah, they're doing their job as a porcupine. So us grass dancers, and we emulate that teaching as well. We take that responsibility of protecting our community very safe, very importantly. It's very important to us. And then of course you see the beautiful colors too. So these are hair from a deer, and they've been dyed, so they have that bright coloring. And my eagle feathers are on the top here too. So everything has a purpose on my outfit.
And it moves like the grass too. I realized once you described yourself as a grass dancer, I was really paying attention to that. And we have a question from Miss Sherry, and she's got students who are wondering why you have beadwork that's all around your eyes.
That's a really great question. So I can take this off and hold it a bit closer. So this is my headband with my beaded medallions you'll see on the top. And then here's, I think, the pieces you're referring to. Part of it is just, it is for style. So you'll see that on mine, these are beaded ropes, and every piece of this has a story behind it. So the story behind this one is that's my name. So I said my name's Wasiaban, and that just means that first ray of light in the morning. So that black and white is representing every morning. It's dark out, and then it turns light. So that's just my name communicated through my beadwork. But yeah, this is just for just to feel good, and it helps me focus on my dancing. So I look actually at my beads while I'm dancing. I don't look out at the eyes on me. So in that way, I can keep moving, and I'm not distracted. So that's a really great question.
There's a couple more questions if you want to answer a few before we maybe share some dance steps with students. Some are
Sure.
trying to keep up with you, but they're not having
Yeah.
luck. Maybe a little bit of teaching from you in a moment will help. But we're also wondering too, is that something you just made up, or is that a dance that you learned?
Yeah, so that style, there's some basic moves behind grass dance. So that style's been passed down from our ancestors. So no one knows the exact day when we discovered or developed that style, but it's been passed down through stories. So the reasons why we look to that grass and why we watch it, our ancestors have been doing that since forever.
Yeah.
So we evolved our dance moves from that. So you might have seen if I'm swaying, you'll see it move like that grass. You would have also seen me kind of pat down on one side with my foot, and then on the other I'd copy. And that was part of that responsibility, is I would pat down that prairie grass all around me to make that space safe for my family, for my community. So yeah, so it's very purposeful. And some of it is little bits of my own moves, but on a whole, there's like some really core moves that all grass dancers do, and then we kind of make it our own. So no two grass dancers will dance the exact same way.
Beautiful. And I think one of the other things that we agreed on too, getting ready for today, is that we know that not everybody could just be a grass dancer. We need to pay attention to some of those traditions too. Yeah.
Right. So grass dancing it's come to First Nations, to our indigenous people on Turtle Island, so North America, and it started in one specific nation. I was taught it's the Omaha Nation out west, and then they shared it with other indigenous people. So I'm an Anishinaabe from Toronto area and Wasauksing, but somewhere down the line, they shared this dance style and gave me permission and my community to dance that style. So we've been given permission to use these teachings and to carry those stories and to do this dance. So that's a really important piece, is to make sure that you've been given permission to do it. Yeah.
So we did sign of the day, which was new for me, grass dancer. Because your big job is to make the grass flat for everybody else to dance on. That's the visual that you're doing when you're patting down the grass with one leg and patting it down with the other. I wonder if you could get us out of our chair and move us around a little bit with a bit of a lesson.
Yeah, let's try it. I want to share, we can share some movements.
Excellent. I will move my chair out of the way and stand up.
So I'll move back here. So there's, like we said, you want to think about your heartbeat. So it's moving, you feel that movement. And when we teach, my partner and I, when we're teaching other people to start dancing, we just want to make sure that we have that basic rhythm. So I want you to start with your hands clapping. So if you can probably hear my mic, just keep that tempo. That's great. And then you want to bring that to your legs. So 1, 2, 1, 2, left, right, left, right. So if you remember our heartbeat, so if you can follow along where you're sitting or you're standing, if you have space around you, you can do some of the movement too. Remember, our heartbeat has 2 beats though, right? So now we want to add that second one. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right. So I'm just going with my hands right now to show you the timing. So the trick now is to transfer that movement to your feet. So it looks like left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, right foot, right? So I hope that you're able to follow along to those movements. And that movement might be a strange way to, we don't walk doing 2 steps usually, right? So what we try to do is, you want to program that into your body. So right now, I want you to play with it a little bit. So imagine you're going in slow motion. Let's try it like that. And I'm gonna just follow along with me. So with your left foot, we're gonna go 1, 2, right foot, 1, 2, left foot, 1, 2. See how tricky it is? Right foot, 1, 2, right? So it's easier to go slower, but now I want to challenge you. I want you to try to do it really fast, fast, fast. So when I say go, I want you wherever you are, and if you're sitting, you can just do it with your feet. I'm going to say go, and then I want you to try to go as fast, fast, fast as you can. Left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right. And then when I say freeze, or when I say stop, I want you to freeze, okay? So I'm going to do it too. Okay, so ready, set, go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, freeze, stop. All right. And sometimes the drum will do that. They'll stop, they'll go faster, and then they'll just stop. And you really got to listen. You really got to be tuned in to be like, oh, and sometimes they'll trick you. We actually do that. And it's kind of a game that the drum plays with the dancers. So, but that's kind of fun. And that's one way to get our bodies moving in that way. So if you have that, maybe we can put on a bit of a song. We can play that grass song, Sarah. And then I'll show you a couple of footwork. So that's just the basic step, right? So can we bring it down a little bit, Sarah? Yeah, that's great. So left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right. So the challenge is you want to tap on the ground every time you hear a drum beat. Right, right, left, left, right, right. And then you can, if you have space, you can do a little circle. You can move, try moving with it, like I am. Or if you don't have, you can go forward a little bit, backwards a little bit, just to program that movement into your body. And if you're like me already, if you've been doing these, you're already starting to feel your body warm up. And you start to feel that blood flow, you start to feel good. So I think that's really good. That's what we call the intertribal step. So maybe we can turn the audio down and then, so that, what you just learned there is called the intertribal. And with that step, you would be able to get up, and even at a powwow, like if there was one happening today somewhere, or when we're able to gather, then you would be able to come out and show off your moves and keep rhythm to that drum. So that's how we would start that.
And we would all wear our own regalia, right? We're not all the same. So I'm going to get ready with you for the intertribal, because we got the basic step down, but we all have different regalia. Here's mine from the West Coast with the cedar hat. And I'm not going to dress like you because that's not my culture, but I'll dress like me. And we're welcome at powwows, aren't we? Because people were asking if people were welcome at powwows, and intertribal is one of the best times to listen for, isn't it?
Yeah, so anytime there's a powwow happening, they're open to everybody. It's not just for Indigenous people. I mean, what I said earlier was that you wouldn't go there to grass dance. That would be my role and responsibility. But as a spectator, as a visitor, there's times when they'll invite you out to dance in that space, and they call that song the intertribal. So that's for everybody, whether you're Indigenous, whether you're like no matter where you're from. Those times we want people to come visit. That's a time to celebrate together. So yeah, and we can play that song again if that's okay. I can share with you a little bit more of fancy footwork for those who are feeling brave and adventurous. How about that, Jeanette?
That sounds good. And we'll stay with the slower song for now, and then maybe we'll
Yeah.
end with the faster song. Okay.
So you can start with that left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. And if you can see my feet, I know my regalia is kind of in the way, but you can tap to the side. So tap, 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 tap. I don't know if you noticed me doing that when I was dancing earlier. This is a nice little fancy move that a lot of our dance styles do. This one's very tricky. I don't know if you've seen it before. It's called the crisscross. So with your legs, you can actually go criss, cross, criss, cross. This one's a bit more advanced. So we had side tap, crisscross. And then if that one's too hard, then you just kind of go back to your basic step. And another one that I like doing as a grass dancer is I just call it small kick. So on the spot, you can go small kick just out to the side. So this time your foot's up in the air a little bit. Small kick, small kick. And you'll watch, if you ever watch those dancers at a powwow, or even me earlier, you'll notice that they string those moves together. So if you want to try all three of those, we can do it right now. And it would look like something like this. So it would be side tap, criss, cross, small kick, side tap, criss, cross, side kick, small kick. Yeah. So that's level 2 powwow dancing. But that's so you have a whole array of moves that you can pick from.
Can we answer a few questions and you can catch your breath?
That sounds great.
Let's answer a few questions because we've got some students that are really curious if you made your outfit. You talked a little bit about the colors. I think I heard you say the colors are when the night and the day come together is part of why it's black and then bright.
Yeah, so that's my outfit, right? And you see it repeated even on my cuffs. So it looks like a checkerboard, but it's actually telling a story. It's like every day, it's dark to light.
And they take a long time.
Yeah. So I work when I'm not at a powwow, and like when it's winter, when we're not outside dancing throughout the summer months, I spend most of my time, like my free time, when I'm not parenting and working, I do a different type of work. So we just call it beadwork. So my whole outfit, and I know it's a bit harder to see, but like this tie, it's fully beaded. My cuff, even my moccasins, my footwear, my headband, which I shared earlier, all of these are individual, they're individual glass beads that I've used, picked up one at a time, put on a thread. Sometimes thinking about like my family, my role as a grass dancer. Sometimes I might just be listening to a podcast or some music I like. But it keeps me busy, and it's more than an art form. It's a job, beadwork. It's a lot of work.
And people are asking, there's some of your beadwork that's repeated in your cuffs, in your pendants, in your tie, that all connects to the same meaning. And I think the other questions is that, I asked if it was personalized because people are asking, does anybody else have the same regalia as you?
That's a really great question. You'll see the same main pieces. So a grass dancer you would see also with fringe, and maybe a different color though, right? And you would see their harness. So this is this larger piece that's fully beaded, and it goes around my neck. We just call that a harness. And then I have a beaded piece that keeps it together. So grass dancers would have but the designs would be different depending where they're from. So if they're Lakota, their designs will be different. Because I'm Ojibwe and Anishinaabe, I have more florals, kind of these floral patterns on here. So this is you can see it better from this angle.
Beautiful.
So yeah, we're woodland people. We're from the Great Lakes. So that's why you have in my beadwork, there's that blue, turquoise, and those florals in there. Because I want people to know, no matter which powwow I go to, where I'm from.
I'm curious. Yeah, there's so many questions to keep up with, but people are wondering if it's made out of real fur and animal parts, and you know, I know we both talked about you even have bells, and before bells you might have used deer hooves, but we might use modern materials now too. Yeah,
that's right. So what Jeanette was just holding up was that those deer hooves, which we used to use. And then of course, when Europeans came over and started visiting and we would trade with our economies, we noticed that they had some really shiny, really loud clanging bells, which really, I didn't wear them because they're so loud in here. If I was outside, and if you go to a powwow, you'll hear, this is just part of the powwow sound, is those dancers clanging around. And the reason why we wear those, just as it's for function, it's so that people, it's to help us know when we're on beat. Like you'll know when you fall off beat with the drum because your bells are not, it's not all synced. So the challenge, it's partly a challenge for myself to have those loud bells to keep me on beat, keep me dancing strong, and to push me in a really good way. It's almost like my personal trainer is my bells.
beautiful. So before we do one last dance together, we're going to challenge people to go faster because we actually have a powwow intertribal. People are so excited to know a couple of things. How old were you?
When you fall off beat with the drum, because your bells are not.
How old are you when you started dancing? And what does it feel like to be a grass dancer? We're a couple of
Those are beautiful. I love those questions. So for me, part of that story that Jeanette told at the beginning, I growing up, like my mom, she wasn't a dancer and my family weren't dancers because my mom went to residential school. And there was a time up until 1951 that it was illegal for us to wear our outfits. We weren't allowed to gather. We weren't allowed to wear our beadwork in public, only at specific shows. So in my community, Wasauksing, a lot of people put that stuff away. And I don't think that they forgot it, but that they had to put it away because it wasn't safe, it was illegal. So when I was growing up, it wasn't around. I had to go out and seek it. So I didn't start dancing until I was in my early 20s. I always wanted to, but I didn't have access to that. So that's part of that legacy. So part of my role is to make sure that my kids, they can learn how to dance. I bead for them too, my daughters. So they all have outfits, and whether they want to or not, like I never would force them to dance, only if they want to, but they always have that choice, right?
Excellent. So I think we have time for one more dance. What do you think, John? 22,500 students out there.
Yay! Thank you so much for being here and listening. So it's
Excellent.
a real honor.
All right, we'll let you set up for a dance. We've got a powwow song, and we have a chance to get our heartbeat up.
Yep.
And to celebrate being Indigenous today.
So I think this song's faster.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a good intertribal. So this will be a good challenge.
So we'll do this for about 90 seconds or so, just a nice little, and then we'll do our little wrap up. I'm so excited you're able to join us today, John. Oh, it is faster.
You can try some of that footwork. Side tap, crisscross, crisscross, small kick, small kick, small kick. Try to keep up with the beat of that drum. Make sure your outfit's moving. We call this a jammer. It's a good, quick song. You feel good moving to it.
Listen for the MC to say, everybody dance.
Yeah.
Intertribal, everybody's welcome.
So hopefully if you're up, you're feeling that good energy now. That's really beautiful. Miigwech, everybody.
Beautiful.
Miigwech, Sarah.
Someone asked an important question I think is worth ending on. Can girls grass dance?
That's a really beautiful question as well. So I've been taught that historically, grass dance was for anyone. It wasn't gendered. So anyone who was called to that society, to that job, to take care of their community, of course, a woman or two-spirit or a girl can do that work. It's not just a man's job or a boy's job, right? Or a teenager's job. So you're seeing more and more of that kind of come back. So yeah, I never call it men's grass dance because it's not just our job to take care of our community. So, but again, you'd have to seek support. If you're Indigenous and it's calling to you, or if you've had a dream, then yeah, you would seek permission and work with elders and community members to do that. I really encourage you to build those relationships. Yeah.
I mean, one last question. Does everyone make their own regalia? I think we can see that some people might help you as you're getting to learn. You don't have to hold off, right?
Yeah, so like my kids, they're not going to bead all of this on their own, right? So sometimes it's family members or extended family. You can do trades. So I might trade some things to someone else to do some beadwork for my kids. So there's lots of ways that you can acquire it, but it's all handmade. Like these aren't things that you can get in any store. You can't go to the mall to get a regalia, right?
I wanted to show some beautiful beadwork. Of course, we're going to see at the museum when it does open. It's free to the First Nation Métis Inuit year round. So come, and the First Peoples Gallery is free to the public year round. But a lot of our art is based on nature, not because we worship nature, we learn from nature. And we got permission today to also share some modern beadwork. Oops, so it's not coming up like I'd hoped. Anyway,
well, I have some pieces too, Jeanette. I brought some. So I don't know if I can share those quickly.
There we go.
I don't know if anyone recognizes our friend here. So I'm kind of showing my age. I don't know if the Ninja Turtles are as popular as they used to be, but this is a piece that I've been beading. Yeah, Donatello, I see. Yeah. And it was just, sometimes I just bead things for fun. Because I want to, and I might make this into a medallion. I would bead a rope for it, and then I could just wear it. Or I could keep it, frame it, or I might trade it with someone. And then another one I brought, so this one's not quite done. You can see it's in process, right? So there's still thread on here, and I'll keep working on it. And here's my friend, I don't know why I loved these films. This one might be harder to tell. My friend, the Kaiju Godzilla, but I've made him into Anishinaabe version.
Beautiful.
So this is another, so you can have fun and mix it with contemporary pieces.
There's one of my pieces that I did with the phases of the moon. There's so much out there for us to enjoy. And I do hope that we continue to celebrate Indigenous peoples year round. And thanks again, John, for coming on Indigenous Voices. We're going to wrap up because our time is up already. 22,500 students were able to join us today. So excited. We're going to hear from Sarah super quick. Welcome, Sarah. This work does not happen without the great digital support from Sarah Elliott. Can you tell us what teachers can expect next, Sarah?
Sure. So teachers, keep an eye on your email. In about 24 hours, you will receive an email with all kinds of educational resources to support the learning here today, as well as a link to a survey to help us continuously improve Indigenous voices. And then if there's anything you want to revisit, keep an eye on the ROM's YouTube channel. About Wednesday, a recording will go up with accurate subtitles.
Superb. Thanks to everybody. Some people might even have a picture of them dancing today, and you can post it online at ROM Toronto. Thanks again. Happy National Indigenous Day. Have the change of season you most need, everybody. Bye-bye.
Amapi.